Hello, everybody. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio's Sales Professional Network, TSPN. I am your host, Andre Harrell. This is Blog Talk Radio's first and only show dedicated to the needs of the sales professional, regardless of the industry that you're in. If you're in the sales business, this channel and show is just for you. We do focus on topics that are relevant to all industries, and the commonality is we in the sales business as sales professionals face similar challenges each and every day. And TSPN, the Sales Professional Network, sincerely was designed to create a forum where we can come together and discuss these challenges and come up with some solutions and best practices to meet those challenges. Tonight's show is brought to you by AH and Beyond Consulting. That's the number 2, and Beyond.com, delivering beyond our clients' expectations in sales strategies, marketing, and sales training. AH and Beyond, increasing your competency means increasing your sales results. Tonight's brief show are just my thoughts on this whole idea of people don't want to be sold. And first, I want to thank Gary Stair, Vice President of Business Development, who I thought just did a wonderful job explaining, quite frankly, the roles and responsibilities of both the sales professional and the customer when it comes to the interaction between the two, which I'll expand on tonight in my thoughts. I'm going to break down 2 areas, folks, based on my request. On tonight's show, those 2 areas are going to be the sales professional and the customer. And I have specific requests that I ask of each, okay? Just humble requests that I have for each as we try to continue to change this perception that people don't want to be sold. Okay? Let's talk about the sales professional. One of the best movies, I think, that characterizes the roles and the lives of the sales professional is the Glenn Ross. And if you haven't seen this movie, you have to see it. While I wouldn't call it an Academy Award type project, however, it had some serious heavyweights in the movie with Al Pacino, Walter Matthau, and of course Alec Baldwin. And everybody that has seen this movie will remember and regurgitate at every sales meeting from now until the end of time Alec Baldwin's classic sales meeting in the movie where he says, ABC, you should always be closing, among some other creative phrases he says throughout the show. But the whole premise of the movie is to explain really the life and challenges of the working sales professional. And in an area we did not cover last night's show, and it's all throughout this infamous movie. And it's one word that sales professionals deal with every second, every minute, every hour, every day, and that is pressure. And I'll repeat that, pressure. Throughout the entire movie, Walter Matthau and Al Pacino, who were sales professionals in the movie, dealt with the pressures of making the sale, almost to the point where it literally destroyed both of them. And so when we look at the roles and responsibilities of the sales professional, no matter how creative you get in explaining, what the role is of the sales professional, the bottom line is all about getting the sale. No chaser in the drink. I don't care what anyone tells you. Our job as sales professionals is to get customers to buy. And I'll say buy in big cap letters, buy-you-why, buy. However, what gets lost in all that translation and bravado is how we deal with that pressure to make the sale. And unfortunately, many of us do not deal with that pressure very well. And I'm just keeping all of us honest. That behavior from that pressure is sometimes, in most cases, taken out on the customer. Not listening to them. We're on our own agenda, not truly servicing their needs, by driving our product down their throat in order to make the sale. And to alleviate our pressure, right, I'm really hoping some, if not all of you, understand what I'm saying. I've been there. I was that person who didn't, have regular nights of peaceful sleeping, always concerned about what customer A was going to say tomorrow. And pressures come from the boss, they in turn, and of course bosses in turn have their own pressures, and pressures come from ourselves, right? Because all of us want to be successful at whatever we do. So if you remember, and I mentioned about having some requests for my sales professional brethren out there, and this is if you feel pressure or being pressured, understand for what it is. And one thing that I'll say is, in order to alleviate that pressure, prepare. Work on preparation strategies and tactics. And what I mean by that is, and Gary alluded to this a little bit last night when we talk about pre-call presentation and before you go see the customer, really having a strategy and an objective of what you want to get out of that call with that customer. It seems elementary, it seems basic, but how many of us forget to do that before we go and engage a customer in our preparation? And you know, another thing that preparation does, it alleviates that pressure because we are so organized in our thoughts in terms of going into that account to know exactly what we're going to say and, quite frankly, know exactly what that customer is going to say to us in return. That does alleviate pressure because we're prepared. And preparation does a lot of great things for what you do as a sales professional. Heck, being prepared is a good thing for whatever you do in this life as a professional. So I would recommend that if you do feel pressure, make sure that you're totally prepared in your job, and especially before you go see the customer. And I want to repeat this. Do not, and I repeat again, do not call on that customer until you're fully prepared. Okay? Please, do not call on that customer until you're fully prepared and that the pressure is released. I do not agree with some who say, pressure is good, because it depends on the certain person that deals with that pressure. Again, as I just mentioned, folks, there's a lot of people out there that don't deal with pressure very well, and then conversely, there's people out there that deal with pressure very well. But my overall consensus is to say, recognize and understand what the pressure is, where it's coming from, and prepare for it. You know, if it also means, going for a run, getting some exercise, etc. Remember, you have one time and only one time to make a favorable impression in front of that customer. Please, folks, to my sales professionals out there, don't let the pressure ruin that impression that you have with that customer. The next request I have for sales professionals, and Gary brought this up also too again last night, emphatically, listen to your customers. Again, in bold caps, listen to your customers. I can do an entire show on the different phases of listening. And maybe I might do that without, going into much detail tonight. It's really about sincerely listening to the customer. One of the most awkward and difficult behaviors salespeople find themselves trying to break is talking too much. By nature, salespeople love to talk. I love to talk, so I throw myself in that category. But that behavior instills that perception that most salespeople are slick talkers without the capability of demonstrating any empathy through listening. So the one other request I have to say that sales professionals should really master is the art of listening. And as a matter of fact, I want to give each of you an assignment, okay? So you got your pencils and pads ready, folks? I want to give you an assignment. When you interact with your customers tomorrow, I want each of you to at least listen 80% of that time as a warm-up. As you get more comfortable doing that, you'll find yourself listening a great deal more. Now, your customers may think you've just lost your mind because guess what? They're used to salespeople doing all the talking. And this is one minor way in which you can kind of separate and distinguish yourself from the crowd. I'm saying all of this in jest, I understand that, and I'm kind of laughing a little bit, but I'm serious. One huge way of changing this ridiculous mantra that people don't want to be sold, in part, is to move towards the statement, customers want to be listened to. So you have an assignment tomorrow. I want each of you who are in the sales business as sales professionals to listen to your customers 80% of the time. If you get in the habit of doing that, your listening skills will get even better from there. Okay? Now, the second area, and we just covered the first area, which was the sales professional. The second area I want to discuss is the customer. Okay, so I'm talking to all the customers out there, which in case I'm talking to myself, because guess what? We are all customers at some point. So my request to the customer is to always, big caps again, always demand excellence from your salesperson. I gave an example on last night's show, my wife's bulldog approach to salespeople, which I'll talk about in a little while we need to, as customers, modify even that approach to salespeople. But I digress. We as customers should minimize should not minimize our expectations when it comes to expecting excellence from our salespeople or sales customer service. And I know. There are a lot of horror stories out there when it comes to customer services with some of these companies. But we, again, as customers, shouldn't accept incompetence. And that's big. Another request for the customer is that we should always have our guard up. And, it's one of those things that, when it comes to interacting with a sales professional, one way to not have a jaundiced eye of the sales profession is to not have the sales profession give you the jaundiced eye based on the perceived negative stereotype. Because if we go into the interaction with the sales professional, again, with this thought process that we're going to be, smooth talked to or cheated or somehow not getting anything out of the interaction between yourself and the sales professional, sometimes I truly believe we as customers give ourselves heartburn when we have to deal with a salesperson even before the interaction. It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Not because of something the salesperson said or did. It's oftentimes, I find fascinating that we take, the Pepto-Bismol before we interact with the salesperson to only find out later that the experience was tremendous and that the sales professional was professional, courteous, respectful, and listened to us. All attributes that were total opposite of our expectations. So again, I'm personally requesting all of you folks out there who are customers, and I'm talking to myself, I'm personally requesting that you give sales professionals a chance. I'm not saying lower your expectations. No, I'm not saying lower your expectations, and especially you deserve excellence from your salespeople that call on you. But give the sales professional and give us a chance. And that perception, people don't want to be sold, would hopefully be minimized. 50% of that thinking, people don't want to be sold, comes from the perception on behalf of the customer before even interacting with the sales professional. Again, just give the sales professional a chance, but don't lower your expectations. To recap both, the sales professional, don't concede to pressure because it will affect your relationship and interaction with the customer, and a good way to alleviate that pressure is to prepare and practice listening. Again, your assignment tomorrow, remember, you want to listen to your customer 80% of the time. A request of my customers is to don't lower your expectations of excellence from the sales professional, but importantly, give us a chance to prove the saying, people don't want to be sold, which is wrong. If you go into the interaction as a customer expecting the negative stereotypes of the sales profession or that specific sales profession that you're dealing with, it will probably be a self-fulfilling prophecy on your part. Again, I want to recap those two again. Sales professionals, please don't put so much pressure on yourself. Practice and prepare your craft so that pressure does not supersede negatively your interaction with the customer. And customers, give us a chance. Give the sales professional, again, a chance. Do not alleviate and minimize your expectations of that sales professional to be excellent at what they do. But give us a chance and don't have the jaundiced eye that many have, including, I guess, myself sometimes, have with salespeople in terms of them coming across in a negative way. Okay? that is pretty much the two areas that I want to cover in this very short show. I want to, again, remind everybody that this show and tonight's abbreviated show on people don't want to be sold. The show is brought to you by A Square and Beyond Consulting. That's asquareandbeyond.com, delivering beyond our clients' expectations in sales strategies, marketing, and sales training. A Square and Beyond. Increasing your competency means increasing your sales results. And one of the things I didn't do last night is I didn't go into a little bit of detail in terms of what our consulting function does. But we do, again, expertise in setting up sales strategies, marketing, and sales training. But more specifically, if you're in the process of building a sales team, whether it's domestic or global, and you're building a sales strategy, whether it's building a customer segmentation process, or whether you're building core messaging from a marketing standpoint, or whether you're building a functional and competent training program, we do all that for you. So again, please contact us. We're AH Square and Beyond Consulting, where we truly can help you strategize your overall sales strategy, and we can help build your marketing campaign of your product detail, as well as building a competency model that builds a global infrastructure of sales training for your company too as well. And the best way to contact us is, again, asquareandbeyond.com, or our number is 267-221-8529. Again, that number is 267-221-8529. Next week's show, May 8th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be talking about the subject, sales professionals do you understand your compensation plan? And again, most sales compensation plans derive from the basic premise, you sell more, you paid more. However, with some corporate compensation structures, oftentimes it's not that straightforward. And we'll be kind of discussing the various compensation plans with the compensation guru on next week's show to explain why sales professionals should be more attentive to how you're compensated. So don't miss next week's show. Again, that's next Tuesday, May 8th at 7 o'clock p.m. And, of course, I'll repeat, the Sales Professional Network meets every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock p.m. And sometimes I do have an afterthought show, as I'm doing tonight, at the same time, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday night. Please follow us, get updates. If you're interested in getting more information regarding our show, you can come to my channel. If you want to follow us, you can press the little follow button underneath my picture on my channel page. You'll get updates as to the subjects as well as the times. And again, we meet every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. If you like the show, if you like last night's show and you like some of my thinking tonight, please follow us. Tell your friends, tell your constituencies, tell everybody that's in the sales business that there is a channel just for them, and it's regardless of the industry that you're in. As I mentioned, we all have a similar commonality that we all have to face with and kind of toggle with on a day-to-day basis. And on this show, we bring those subjects to bear, and we talk about them, we chop them up, and we come away with some solutions for you and best practices to ensure that you're the best that you can be as a sales professional. So, again, thank you so much, folks, for coming back. If you listened to last night's show and you want to come back and hear my thoughts, I say welcome back, and thanks for hearing my short segment on my thoughts on people don't want to be sold and how I adamantly disagree with that. And we hope certainly that you'll keep joining us each and every Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Please share the word of mouth, again, to your friends, family, constituency, colleagues, everybody. Thank you so much, folks, for listening to tonight's show. Have a great rest of your evening.